And I'm Dr. Mudasir Rahman Najar. I am from India. Basically, I live in Kashmir. Kashmir is very famous all over the world. And right now I'm working in university at Delhi as an assistant professor for English. And as I already told you earlier that I have been teaching in higher education department for the last 15 years. I've been teaching literature, I've been teaching communicative skills, I've been teaching professional skills, I've been teaching soft skills and some other professional courses. And particularly I have been affiliated to teaching literature and I have published almost 20 to 22 research papers so far, and even in some foreign publications. And now fortunately, I have come. Maybe hopefully, future time, I may refine my research enterprises further. And now, being an assistant professor for English literature and language, I am very much interested in English language and communication skills. And you know, dear audience, the reason we have opened up a window for learning for all the professionals, for all the learners here in this webinar, so that we can introduce our learners with some courses that we are going to teach in the future times very soon, particularly. And as Ali Bakshi sir is teaching research, supervising research, and giving some special guidance for the academic writing as well. And I, being a humble student of English literature come language, I also yearn to set up a platform where we can have a learning experiences with regard to global English communication and academic come professional. That means we can say that English, you know that English nowadays has become the cement of academics. And we know that it is modern day oxygen, where we can hardly live without English language. Even if we'll have to, we can say that whatever it has come into our social scenario now, in our society, it's the language of technology, it is the language of intelligentsia. It's almost everywhere. Where do we find English language everywhere? So, as per my importance in this webinar, I told you already that I have been I'll be focusing on two courses, that is Global English, Professional come Academic, and the second, Literature, Theory, Cinema and Truth. These are the two aspects I would be dealing in my future courses. In the first one, I'll be dealing with the English language, fundamentals of English language, basics of English language, how to develop English language, how to develop vocabulary, and moreover, how to develop grammatical competence. For that, I'll be focusing on the functional grammar. I'll be focusing on the basic functional grammar and the important grammatical concepts that will really make us to speak better. Secondly, I will be more and more focusing on the phonetics and phonology. Phonetics and phonology. This is another, because I have another enterprise in English language and literature. Do you know why? Because particularly right now, you know that two accents are very, very famous all over the world right now. One is already that the British accent has already been there. And now the most current and contemporary accent that predominates in English language, that is the American accent. That is the American accent. And I have also taken an interest that I'll be giving you some details. Details of vocabulary, details of American accent in terms of its, we can say that in terms of its vocabulary, in terms of its pronunciation, in terms of its grammatical structure. That would also be very, very important in the first course. That is Global English Communication, Academic come Professional. We'll be focusing on the academic part of it, how this competence of English language can help us score better in our examinations, how this competence of English grammar would help us writing good answers, creating good writing in our academic structure, communicating, and at the same time, I'll be focusing on the competence as well as the performance of by this English language in the corporate come professional sector. How do we use this English language in parliaments, in courts, in companies, in organizations, and how can we get better results? You know that nowadays in the contemporary times, English language, or say for example, for that matter, any language, now particularly English language. Why English language? Why English language has been called cement of academics? Why it has been called modern day oxygen? Because it is everywhere. It is everywhere. It has been considered the intellectual language of the world. I remember the days, hopefully I believe that the most of the, we can say that participants in this webinar are from Iran, Persian language. Okay, and I, in my native place, that is Jammu and Kashmir, particularly Kashmir, even now it is the latest talk that when great scholars, even now the great scholars, religious scholars, have been referring, they have been giving their quotes in Persian language in order to make the impression of their knowledge. Persian has been considered the greatest knowledge, greatest language, greatest source of, we can say that, Islamic knowledge, or the knowledge about art, knowledge about logic, knowledge about wisdom. So then our trend got changed. And we, even if from wherever we live in, whichever the native language, the mother language we speak in, we must nourish, we must crystallize ourselves in English language. How can we nourish, how can we crystallize ourselves in English language? For that, we need to participate in the, we can say that, in the function of functional English. This reminds me of the Benjamin Franklin. He has been an American educationist as well as a statesman. He says that, he gives a quote, he says that, tell me, I will forget. Teach me, I will remember. And involve me, I will learn. So particularly in this course, we would really try to make our participants to join in the conversations, to get the golden principles of grammar, how to learn grammar in a very, we can say, pleasing way, in a very, we can say that, in a very pleasing way, in a very play-way method, so that we can learn the basic concepts of grammar. And when we learn the basic concepts of grammar, it will be very easy for us to speak. It will be very easy for us to write. Okay? Because this speaking is very much related to listening. This writing is very much related to reading. These are called two receptive skills and two productive skills. So unless and until we will not focus on our receptive skills, that is listening skill and reading skill, only then we can move towards speaking skill and writing skill. When we focus on those all four skills in this course, so definitely we would be able to be proficient. We would be able to be proficient in the English language. There are two things. One is competence, another is performance. Competence means if you have some sort of vocabulary that lies with you, some sort of grammatical concepts that you have understood and you can write about them. But another thing is that performance. Performance comes when you know how to use these concepts, when you know the utility, the practicality of those concepts, how to use these grammatical concepts in our day-to-day language. That we'll be dealing in this course. And we will be dealing some more things, say for example, in terms of phonetics. In terms of phonetics, we'll be dealing with stress and intonation. We'll be dealing with consonants and vowels, initially the basic sounds. How many consonants are there? Say for example, 24 consonants are in English. Say for example, 20 vowels are there in English. And we'll be dealing with those sounds one by one with their examples, with their reference from the English language. and we'll be dealing with that. Once we are done with English language, once we are done with phonetics part of it, that is phonology. Once we are done with the phonology of English in terms of consonants and vowels, only then we would be able to pronounce the word correctly. When we would be able to pronounce the word correctly, only then we can focus on stress patterns in English, stress patterns for words, stress patterns for sentences. And that would lead us to the intonation. That will create a kind of rhythm. Okay, so that's also important. This creating rhythm. Say, for example, if we say that, what's your name? What is your name? So all the phones, words have been changed into phones. When we write it, words are graphs. Graphs means pictures. But when we speak it, our graphs becomes phones. Phone means sound. So if we say that, what is your name? If we make we can say that the phonological aspect of it, or the stress pattern and intonation into it, we try to, because in English language, it is phonetic language, we try to mix up. We can extend one word to that much, and we can say that we can squeeze. We can squeeze some 2, 3, 4, 5 words, just one chunk. Say, for example, we can say that, what is your name? What is your? We can say that, what's your? And after that, I will simply teach you how what is your becomes what's your. So it becomes, what's your name? Name becomes extended part. That's why in English language, we can say that we integrate many words together, unimportant words. Then we try to expand some important words. Say, for example, we say, what's your name? What's your name? Otherwise, it is, what is your name? Likewise, it's just an example, and with this we can discuss many other aspects in phonetics, in stress and intonation. Then we can learn about soft skills. Soft skills, the logical part in our communication. One is speaking, another is logically speaking. Logically speaking means when we try to speak and motivate others. Okay, I'm just giving the briefing of it, and meanwhile, after this, I will be sharing my PPT also. There are some other aspects. I'll be discussing that also. I hope that you will have the patience with me. And likewise, with grammatical concepts, functional grammar, not general grammar. Functional grammar, the grammar that we can use in the corporate sector, that we can use in the writing skills, that we can use in the speaking skills. So that's part of functional grammar. We'll be selectively taking those topics. And moreover, we can be dealing with the fluency in language, accent in English language, and the day-to-day conversation. How can we excel? How can we do well in the performance of English language? We'll be dealing those topics in detail. And the second part that I have displayed in my poster, that is literature, theory, cinema, and truth. In the second part, there are 4 aspects. One is literature. You know what is literature? Literature is my own definition for literature. It has many definitions, which is that literature is whatever is being written, spoken, or orally transferred, and loaded with the value. Value may be intellectual, value may be emotional, value may be political, value may be divine, value may be social, okay? Value may be personal, value may be public. So whatever is being written, spoken, recorded, okay, or videographed, and is loaded with the value of different kinds, and is being preserved for the future generations. That's called literature. Now, you know that I told you already, at our own native place, Persian literature has been considered a great literature. It is loaded with wisdom, loaded with values, loaded with Islamic thoughts. isn't it? So likewise, now it has been most of the literatures in the world has been replaced by English literatures. Even if we would prefer to study Islamic literature, okay, we usually, the younger generations will prefer to study it in English literature. So I'll be dealing in the second course, I'll be dealing with the literature, particularly English literature. And the second course will, particularly the first course will benefit all the participants, all the learners, but the second course will benefit particularly those students who have interest in the academics, who are very much interested in English literature, for that matter, maybe any kind of subject that is related to humanities. That is related to humanities, wherein I can discuss most of the important aspects. Most of the important aspects. What are those aspects? For example, I told you already that I'll be dealing with literature. What is literature? Definition of literature. Okay. Then I'll be dealing that what are the different aspects of literature? What are the different aspects of literature? What are those? What is theory? How does literature reflect? Does literature reflect reality? How does it reflect? In return, you give me the now. In this communication, we have three types of communication. We have verbal, non-verbal, and visual communication. When we talk about verbal communication, we have the communication that is being expressed through words, maybe written as well as spoken. Okay, it may be in the form of words only. It may be in the form of structures, sentences, expressions. Okay, grammatical features are involved into it. Okay, phones are involved into it. Phones. By phone we mean sound. Okay, when we say phone, it is not smartphone. Okay, it is not mobile phone. Likewise. So when we say phone, in terms of linguistics, it is by phone we mean sound. Okay, and when we talk about non-verbal communication, we have the ideas that depends on our body language, facial expressions, and other paralinguistic aspects. Say, for example, in facial expressions, I cannot narrate a tragic story with smiling face. I cannot tell you that, that I was walking on the road and there an accident has happened and God forbid, some 4 people have been killed. I cannot narrate this. And I cannot crack a joke with a smiling face. Okay, likewise. So in non-verbal communication, we have many aspects that's involved in the excellence of communication. Be it the haptics, the trend to make some movements, the body touch, gestures, hand movements, facial expressions, proxemics, the distance. You know that right now, if we measure our talk, if we measure this communication in terms of proxemics, we have the virtual connection. We are virtually connected with each other. Okay, we don't have physical connection. We don't have in-person connection. And I can tell you, you stand up. Let us shake our hands. I cannot do that. That is called a proxemics of the communication. How distant are you from the listener? Then facial expressions. Are you making eye contact? Are you making, we can say that, are you making, when you are serious, you are making that kind of facial expression? Okay, then we have paralinguistics. In paralinguistics, we have tone, we have stress, okay, we have rising tone, we have falling tone. Say, for example, I will give one more example of what's your name. If you'll give it in the rising tone, I'll say that, what's your name? If I'll give the same in the falling tone, what is your name? What's your name? What's your name? What is your name? So falling tone, rising tone, we have the different category, we have the different rules and regulations. What tone should be given to the interrogative sentence? What tone should be given? What tone should be given to the, we can say that, to some affirmative sentence, to the declarative sentence. Likewise. Okay, so we have different kinds of tones. Likewise, then we have body language. Okay, in body language, how do we move our hands? How do we move? How do we look? Here, there, near, far off. That's called a body language. Appearance. What kind of appearance do you make? When you first look towards a person and you make an impression, you know that he's a long, tall person with long, we can say that, mustache, with long hair, with long beard. Yes, he's a lean person. Okay, likewise, and he is well dressed. He is dressed in tattered or worn out clothes. Eye contact is must. Okay, instead of non-verbal communication, even artifacts. If you are going to show anything, any object, any concrete object to the audience, that also makes an impression. Say, for example, if you are teaching the aspects of teaching pedagogy to the students. Okay, you are showing them the whiteboard, you are showing them the marker, you are showing them other things. Likewise. So likewise, it's a long, we can say that presentation. It will take almost 2 hours to teach you. And do you have any queries? Visuals. You would have become suffered a lot. Now, how long can we follow him on this audio track? How long we cannot? Likewise. Then we have 7 C's of communication. This again related to the process of communication. This is again related to the process of communication. That how do ideation happens? How do generation of idea happens? That happens in our mind, consciousness. When we become conscious, we try to generate ideas. Okay, and when we try to generate ideas, then there is the matter of being diffident or confident. Diffidence is the opposite of confidence. If we are confident, we try to release that. Okay, first is consciousness. If you are conscious, you create idea. Then if you are confident, you try to express it. If you are really confident, you try to concretize it. Concretize doesn't mean that you are giving it in some concrete object. No, concretizing means you are trying to explain it. How do you feel? How do you think? How do you relate it? Say, for example, you have a particular idea. You relate it to the mountains. You relate it to the animals. You relate to the angels. By that relating, referring, you are doing what? You are trying to concretize.